good day, Algebra. Moving on to PO28 today. Talking about whether or not two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And we're not going to be looking at coordinate planes to tell if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. A, because sometimes they're pretty close and you can't quite tell. And B, because that's just too easy. Okay. We'll be using other characteristics of these lines to tell us. So first of all, let's define parallel lines. Raise your hand. Tell me what parallel lines are. Catherine.
They never cross.
Okay, lines that never intersect. Okay, and now that we've been talking about, we've graphed lines, we've looked at equations, we've looked at how lines move across the coordinate plane. Maybe now reading this definition, perhaps the question is, why? Why don't parallel lines ever intersect? What causes parallel lines to never intersect? What makes them parallel? Matt?
I think it's because they have the same slope.
It is because they have the same slope, right? That very definition of how we define slope. Slope is how a line moves across the coordinate plane. If two lines are moving at the same rate, the same way, they're never going to cross. Okay? So lines that are parallel will indeed have the same slope. Okay? Lines that are parallel have the same slope. If line A has a slope of 2/3, a line that is parallel to it will have a slope of 2/3. Okay? Or 4/6, or any fraction that's equivalent to 2/3, right?
Perpendicular.
Okay. What's that?
Mine's is perpendicular.
Who?
Yours does?
Wait, who?
Mine's
It's
is
the next
perpendicular.
You're writing on the wrong line then, Jack.
Look at the top.
Who?
Oh yeah, no, I see it.
Yeah, Jack, you're getting the wrong one.
No, the wrong line.
I did the wrong.
Jack, I'm Jack.
All right.
Such a turd.
Life is hard. Okay?
Such a turd.
If line A has a slope of -6, line B that's parallel to it will have a slope of.
-6.
Okay.
What a little prank.
Now, perpendicular is a little more tricky. Okay. Tell me what perpendicular lines are. What does it mean for lines to be perpendicular? Lisa.
So the
William,
lines
Catherine,
on
5.
the lines cross like each other or make like a X type shape.
Okay, but it's a little bit more than that. Arlene?
Two lines that create a right angle.
Right. Two lines that intersect, and not only do they intersect, they intersect at a 90-degree or a right angle.
Do they
Okay.
have to do 90 degrees?
Yes.
Yes.
It is
Why
very,
would you
very
write it
specific.
down?
Perpendicular lines must intersect at a 90-degree angle. Okay, a 90-degree angle will look like that. Any other lines that do intersect but not at a 90-degree angle, that's where this neither comes into play here, right? Either lines won't intersect, therefore they're parallel, or they will intersect. If they intersect at a 90-degree angle, they're specially called perpendicular lines, but any other intersection, right, they're just lines that intersect. Okay, nothing really special about them. Yeah.
So does it have to be like all?
Okay. So similar to how lines are parallel because of their slope, same thing with perpendicular. But what would the slopes have to be? What would the relationships of the slopes have to be for perpendicular lines? Andrew?
They would have to be opposites.
Opposites. Okay. And there's a fancy math phrase that means opposites. So what we're talking about here, let's say a line has a slope of we'll go with 2/3 again. What's the opposite of a slope of 2/3?
-2.
1/2.
Alex?
2.
3/2.
Not only 3/2, it's more than that.
Negative.
-3/2. Okay? The sign changes and the fraction flips. That's what we mean when we say opposite slopes. The sign changes and the fraction flips. The fancy math phrase for that is called negative reciprocals. Yeah. negative reciprocal slopes. The negative part means the sign changes, and the word reciprocal means that it flips. Okay, so negative reciprocal slopes. The sign changes and the fraction flips. So if we have a line with a slope of -6, what's the negative reciprocal or the opposite of a slope of -6, Christopher? Positive 1/6. Okay, not just +6, but positive 1/6. Because remember that -6 is really like a -6/1, right? So we flip the fraction, change the sign. Okay, and this will result, this relationship here results in that 90-degree angle action there. All right, questions? Got the groundwork laid, now let's practice a little bit. Okay, Jack, you know where we are right now?
Yep.
Good. All right.
That is good.
So, here says determine, is this a one-pager? Ooh, a two-pager. Merry Christmas. It says determine if line A and B are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and explain. So in this first one here, line A, y equals 4x plus 3. Line B, y equals -4x plus 7. Raise your hand and tell me if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and then explain. Aiden.
Neither.
Why, Aiden?
Because the only thing that flipped in the slope was the sign. They didn't change the fraction.
Yeah, so all you're looking for here to determine parallelability or perpendicularity, it sounds cool. You're looking at the slope. That's it. That's all you care about is the slope. So we look at the slope of line A, it's a +4. We look at the slope of line B, it's a -4. Are they the same? No. Are they negative reciprocals? No. Aiden says we've got the negativity there, right? The sign changed, but the fraction didn't flip. Okay? So that is why they are neither. Second group, y equals 2/3 x minus 4, y equals 2/3 x plus 7. Raise your hand and explain. Yes. Player T.
On our page.
Why neither?
Because
Yes, Lisa. Yes. Yes.
because it changed from 4 to a 7.
So you're looking at the y-intercept here. We don't care about that. We care about the slope. And the slope of each line is 2/3. Okay? They're the same. Therefore, they are parallel. Parallel.
So we don't.
Okay? Damien,
So we don't care about the -4 and the
We do not.
+7.
nope.
Okay.
If we're determining whether or not lines are parallel or perpendicular or neither, we only need to look at the slope. There will come a time when we care about that, but that's not PO28. Okay? Gavin.
Can I say the next one?
Sure. Y equals -3x plus 8. Line B, y equals 1/3 x plus 14. What do you think?
I think it's perpendicular because the signs flip and the fractions flip.
Yes. Looking at these slopes, okay, -3 and positive 1/3. That -3 is really like -3/1, right? So to get a positive 1/3, we change the sign from negative to positive and we flip the fraction. Okay? So they are negative reciprocal slopes, therefore the lines are perpendicular. Kylie.
For the explain, do we just have to like circle the slope?
Yeah, and I did it verbally. You know, if you want to add, jot some notes down. Remember, these are for you to use later on, whether it's preparing for the test or working on practice work or whatever. When folks come up to ask me, for help on practice work, my first response is, did you check the binder, right? Because all of the information that you need should be here. Okay. If you have further questions, but you need to be writing down what you need to be successful. Okay, when you're looking at this later on, right? So whatever that means to you, that's what you need to be putting down. It's a lot easier to put the work in on the front end right now and prepare for the test than on the back end through the practice work, the retakes, and the time, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so put the work in now. Alex. Okay, well, we're not there yet, so that's okay. Other questions on these first three? All right, the next three. We've got line A, that is 4x minus 2y equals 12, and line B was -8x plus 4y equals -4. What's the only thing that we care about when determining parallelability, perpendicularity, or neitherness? Okay. William,
I was gonna say.
what's the only thing that we care about?
Oh, so.
Slope. So we need to identify what is the slope of line A. Now you look at line A and you see it's in standard form. So now your brain kicks into gear and says, how do I convert from standard form to, oh, that was a PO on the last test. I hope I passed it, right?
I didn't.
So we've got line A,
Let's check.
4x minus 2y equals 12. Good review here. How do we convert from standard form to slope intercept form? Joey.
So you divide by -2.
We could do that step first, okay? It wasn't what you were taught to do, so if you want to do it that way, I'm going to stay consistent with how everyone was taught, but it's not a wrong first step. I'm going to make that clear, not a wrong first step. But in your notes, when we talked about it, what do we do first, Alex? Move the 4x over. Okay. That leaves us with a negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 12. Remember, we can't combine those because one has an x and one doesn't, not like terms, right? Now that we've got the y term by itself on the left side, now we'll be dividing by negative 2. Right? Cancel those out. Negative 4x divided by negative 2 is a positive 2x. And 12 divided by negative 2 is a negative 6. Do we really care about that? No. Negative 6? No. We only care about the 2. Okay? So now we go to line B, and we kind of do the same thing. Okay? Line B is negative 8x plus 4y equals negative 4. And maybe some of you are at the point where you can do this moving and dividing in your head. If you can, great. I still want to see the work though. To convert this into slope intercept form, we're going to add 8x to both sides. That gives us 4y equals 8x minus 4. Divide everything by 4. And we get y equals 8 divided by 4 is 2x. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. We care about that slope. What's the relationship of those lines? And the slope's the same. What does that mean, Ben? Parallel. Okay. So this objective is going to require you to go back to things we've already covered. Thus, the whole point of the POs. The next two are very similar in that you have to convert them to slope intercept form. And you look at the next page, those first three, what's your method here? What do you have to do here? You have to find the slope, right? How do you find the slope given two ordered pairs? Damien.
X1, Y1, and X2 and Y2.
Yep, your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus
Yeah,
x1.
that's it.
Okay, all these things are coming back here. Okay, you get to practice them again. Don't be thrown off by line B here. That 20x plus 14y equals negative 4x minus 42. It's not technically in standard form because our x's all aren't on the same side, but your process to put it in slope intercept form will be the same. You're going to move these 20x's over. Yes, you already have negative 4x's on the right side, but you're just going to subtract 20 from them. You'll combine the x term with the x's you already have. Okay? So this will give you 14y equals negative 24x minus 42, and then you can pick up from there to find the slope. Okay? All you're looking for is that relationship of the slopes. And it does require you to go back to standard form to slope intercept form, and then that slope formula. Okay? We can do others together in a little bit, but before then, are there questions on what we've done here? Or what you need to do? Not questions on how to do it, but you understand what you need to do. Okay. The next section. Let's see. we will save that next section there. Okay, we will save that. So, any others you want to go over now? Any others you want to go over now? Alex. You need to do, yes. So you can stop at the brain buster. You do not have to do, you will have to do it, so don't like exit out, but you don't have to do it for tomorrow. Your homework for tomorrow will just include the entire first page and the first 3 on the second page. What's that? Okay, so Liesel, what do we care about when determining parallelability, perpendicularity, or neitherness?
Oh, I know.
What?
Find the slope.
Find the slope. How do you find the slope given 2 ordered pairs?
Do like the slope formula.
The slope formula. Okay. So here's what it looks like for line A. y2 minus y1 gives us 6 minus 7. x2 minus x1 gives us 3 minus 2. That simplifies to be -1 over +1 or just -1. Okay. Line B. y2 minus y1 is -7 minus 4 over 5 minus -6, which becomes 5 plus 6, right? This gives us -11 over 11.
Parallel.
Are those slopes the same? Yes.
Yeah, parallel.
When we were doing slope in the previous unit, oftentimes I was asked, should we simplify slope? Do we have simplified slope? The answer is yes, right? Because if you don't simplify this, if you're just looking at the fractions, they're different fractions, right? -1 over 1 is not the same fraction as -11 over 11. However, they do the same value. When you simplify -11 over 11, it simplifies to be -1. Okay? So you do need to simplify slopes. This is a situation where you really have to make sure they're the same. So yes, these are the same. Therefore, the lines are parallel. Okay? Therefore, they are parallel. Work must be shown here. Okay? You've got to show me how you're finding the slope for each of them. It is required. So for credit for the homework tomorrow, make sure you are showing work. Make sure you are showing work. Anything else? Others you want to go over? I'm willing to do one more together. One more. You already got to pick one.
What's the third one?
Damien.
First page, last one.
First page, last one. All right. So for line A here, we've got 12x plus 7y equals 14. We do need to convert this into slope intercept form. So we're going to subtract 12x from both sides. That gives us 7y equals -12x plus 14. Divide everything by 7 now. And we get y equals -12/7 x plus 2. Okay? Converting from standard form to slope intercept form. Move the x term over, divide by the coefficient to y. Line B, we already got it started. It becomes 14y equals -24x minus 42. When we subtract 20x from both sides, we did that earlier. Okay, subtract 20x from both sides. And so now when we divide everything by 14, we get y equals -24/14 x minus 3. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Yeah, I was waiting for someone to shout out, neither! But yeah, you do have to simplify, right? Guarantee on the test, I'm going to give you something like this, where if you're not paying attention, you'll look at these and you'll say, different, neither, right? But what does -24/14 simplify to be? -12/7. -12/7. Therefore, they are parallel. Okay? parallel. Make sure you are putting your slopes, your fractions in simplest form. All right? Also make sure you are showing the work. Other questions, comments, concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations, and criticisms?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Khan Academy is also due on Thursday. It's the first Khan Academy that's eligible for your next bingo card, the one you currently have. I'll get back to you in just a second here. Math packet due on Friday. You'll get checked in math packets back tomorrow. And that's about it. You still turn them in, yes. Still turn them in, yeah. Anything else? All right, that's our math.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.